And we should be good.
All right.
So, could you go ahead and tell me how you define management, and then what has influenced or informed your definition?
Management. How I define management is having people around you, having good employees around you that will, you don't want to micromanage them, but you want to train them the right way to each specific person. If there's a cashier, you want a trainer and a counter person to be counter and cashier, concentrate on her surrounding areas.
Absolutely.
If there's a waitress or a waiter, you want her to concentrate on, obviously, the dining room where people coming in, seating menus, pulling things, cooks. You want to concentrate on what they're doing as far as prepping and cooking. So management is overseeing every aspect of the restaurant, but it's not micromanaging. You don't want to be on them and follow them and go, no, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. You got to train them to do it right, but then you correct them down the road and say, listen, this is how I want it done. I see how you don't put a napkin under the glass of water. Well, we like to put a napkin under the glass of water. Or you're walking by a table, if it's a waitress, and there's dirty dishes sitting in front of a customer. You want her or him to, okay, always a rule of the thumb in restaurant management is you never walk in the kitchen with an empty hand. Absolutely. You always have dishes in your hand, so clean those dishes from that person. So managing it all depends on the person. It all depends on what you're managing, or whether it's a restaurant or construction job or anything like that. It's all different aspects, but it's training the right people the right way to manage them, but not to micromanage them.
Okay, so as an owner, manager, just all those kind of leadership positions that you play, what is the most difficult thing you find about leading?
What is the most
difficult thing you find about leading?
When the people don't follow the right procedure after time, and that's when you say, listen, this isn't for you. I've told you 3 times in a week, you've got to do it this way, and this is the aspect of the game, and if you can't do it, for example, we have potato skins and tzatziki sauce that we put on the table, and I'm constantly was talking to this one waitress who used to work for us. Is like, do you have tzatziki and potato skins on? It's complimentary, and while they're waiting for the drinks, you go over, drop the menu off, and then you bring the tzatziki and the potato skins as complimentary yum-yums. Constantly, I'm like, where's your tzatziki and potato skins? Well, I can't get to it, or I'm kind of busy. You're going over there with the menu. How can you be too busy when you're walking over there and, once again, empty-handed? So it's basically, just staying on the person as far as, and after 2 or 3 times, you can give a person a chance. But after the 3rd or 4th time, it's like, listen, this is not going to work out. Time to move on separate ways. So that's the most difficult thing. It's like you don't want to be on a person, but if they don't get it ASAP, you got to, cut the rope and say, listen, got to go.
Absolutely. So, as a manager, what are your personal skills or traits upon which you depend the most?
Oh, you know what? I'm a nice guy, and I've worked with some really tough guys and tough women who are really, really they're fist pounders, and I think that's my best quality is I'm a real nice guy, and I don't want to see anybody fail. I want to see everybody succeed. If they succeed, then my business succeeds. If they don't, then my business fails. So I tell them, don't take it personal. This might not be you. This might not be for you. So, my leadership is it's not life or death what we're dealing with in my business. It's food. Okay, you might make mistakes. Nobody's going to die. Everybody's going to be okay. We're gonna survive this, and you just kind of calm them down. And when I used to set up weddings, the girls would all be like, all the waitresses would be, for catering a wedding for 125 people, they have all like this. I'm like, relax, okay. This is the time where you make the bride relax, make the groom relax, like the guests relax, and I get them to relax. I'm like, it's okay, nothing's gonna happen. We're gonna do this. We're gonna pull it off. And I think so. You got to instill confidence in your employees. That's the big thing. You got to hire people with confidence too. You got to hire people who are in the restaurant business. You got to hire people that are very they are go-getters. because it's a fast thing. You could be slow one day and, polishing silverware and glasses, or then next day you can have 10 tables and you're running around, getting people's drinks, writing tickets, putting them up online, get your food, cashing people out. So it's like it's like peaks and valleys, So that's basically, you just got to make sure they're fine tuned to that.
Okay. So how do you think that management effectiveness develops with experience? So just like, how have you developed with your experiences?
How have I developed it? Through my experiences?
Mm-hmm.
Well, working for good managers. I mean, you got to work for good people and good companies, to develop my management skills. I mean, I went to school in Boston for photography. I got a degree in journalism. I still do my photography. But I've always loved the restaurant business, and I've been doing this since I was 16 years old. So what I've learned to do is learn, even from the fist pounders, or people who are like me, learn from them, learn from the general managers, learn from the director of sales, learn from owners who I've worked for, and that's how I polished my management skills. Like, oh yeah, I remember when I was 25, and this is how my former owner of a bunch of restaurants did it this way. And I liked some of those concepts, so I bring all those concepts into my business and, instill them all. Whether, it was working with somebody I didn't care for or working with somebody who I absolutely loved. I mean, they all had good skills, and you just kind of pick, like an apple tree. You pick the good apples, and you kind of leave the bad apples, away. So you pick the good things that you learn, and, leave the bad stuff up down the tree. Or let it fall to the ground.
Either way. So, what is the worst mistake or failure you've experienced as a manager, and why?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
The worst experience. I am so lucky that I really haven't had a bad experience. But that's a good question. Jeez. Everything that I tried to do, I'm prepared for. So you got to prepare for the worst.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time where I had to cater a wedding this past summer on a lake, and my wife and I and the staff, we did the dance floor, we did the tents, we did the bar, we did the the food, the linens, the whole china. I had to cook on a grill. I mean, I had to run the food back. I had to run the food from the house because all they had is ovens up at the house, which was not far away. It was like 50 feet. Around the pool, but I had to do a lot of the cooking on the grill on my chafing dishes. Really tough. Could have been a total disaster, but it turned out great. So that was probably the closest I came to like, oh my God, disaster strikes. And I knew I had to work on this grill, so I was mentally prepared, but I've never done it. With chafing dishes and, moving things around and making sure it stays warm because we had to, keep the food going, rotating it. Boy, that could have been a disaster. I'm very lucky that I've never really, really had a problem. Maybe food running late, then you calm the bride and groom down. Maybe cakes coming out of here once in a while. They're not, maybe the writing's not the way people like it, and then you kind of comp them a gift certificate and, geez, I thought you used to do it this way, now you're doing it that way, and, I really liked the way I got my cake last year. It was prettier, it was nicer, it was bright, so, there's times where, I think more of the food end, the baking end is really the tough one because, when we put out cakes and stuff, people are really particular, especially if it's for a kid's birthday. They want it absolutely, absolutely perfect.
Absolutely.
And the funny thing about it is the kid doesn't care as long as it tastes good.
Yeah, as long as the cake is good.
Kid's like, okay, that's fine. Just give me the cake.
So, on the other side, what is the greatest accomplishment or success you've experienced as a manager, and why?
Well, since you're going to SU and an SU man, I'm going to tell you that I got to know Pearl Washington about 25 years ago, and became good friends with him. He knew my brother-in-law and my sister very well. So I got to know Pearl real well, and I set up his first wedding at the Quality Inn. And it was I do believe it was like 1995, and Pearl had probably about 200 people there. And, I got the biggest hug from beer hug from him saying, Mark, the way he thought, Mark, that was the best wedding. Thank you very much. And, not because he's a legend in this town and not because, I think he talked to people around the area. He was such a humble person. In fact, after that wedding, he's like, I got 2 tickets to Donovan McNabb's first game start at Philadelphia. Mr. and Mrs. McNabb gave him 2 tickets, and him, his friend, and one of Coach Bayham's friends, and the 4 of us went down there to see Donovan's first. That was his way of thinking me, and I thought that was so cool. So I got to know him there. So that was like my proudest experience ever, probably, was, and don't get me wrong, I don't care if it's a wedding for 15 people or somebody like Pearl. They all like me the same amount. But just him being the special person that he was in this community, my proudest moment, no doubt.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So, with both of those experiences, with the previous wedding and then Pearl's wedding, what do you do differently that kind of reflects those experiences? How have you kind of?
I think I'm more prepared. I think you got to be more prepared. I think you got to be ready for. I mean, you got to have Plan A instilled really well, but you got to have Plan B and C. You got to be ready to go with Plan B if Plan A doesn't work out, and if Plan B starts to falter, you have to have a C. I think those are the best things that you have to plan out for is A, B, and C. Do it right. Do it right the first time, and you won't have to have a Plan B. Mm-hmm. But you're going to always have to go to Plan B, no matter what you do, no matter what you do in life. Life's always going to be Plan B. Okay, my Plan A didn't work out. I'm going for Plan B. And sometimes Plan B works better than Plan A. But you really don't want to go past C. Yeah. You want to stay right around A and B. And then if you have to do C, we'll see what happens from there.
All right. So what issues come up whenever you're leading a team versus, just individuals?
Personality. You're leading a team, you got various personalities. So you got, somebody who might be a little bit different personality than another person who's a little bit more, keyed up and wound up. One who's like a little bit laid back. One who's, so the personality issues where when you're doing individual, you can approach them differently. You can, if somebody's got a good, is not pulling it and just doing what they have to do, to push their buttons to listen, you did great the other day. What's going on today? I mean, you're fluctuating. We're, other ones you might have to coddle a little bit where, say, hey, listen, you're going to do good. You still confidence. And I coached a lot of lacrosse in my life. I coached up at SU basketball, and I coach kids. I coach my own sons who are now, out of college. They played college football and college lacrosse. And I was always one who was picking up the kids. Come on, it's okay. We're going to win. We're going to do it. Yeah, just smile. Go out there. Have fun. There's coaches. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? It's I'm not that kind of guy. I was never that kind of guy. I was come on, we're going to do it. And we win, we win. We lose, we lose. You have fun anyways. So I think that's the best thing that I learned from my business is I think that helped me as a manager and as an owner was coaching my kids and coaching other kids, and coaching up at Syracuse basketball camp and pumping them up and getting them going. And, you could be down by 30 points at the camps and somebody would hit a 3-pointer and the bench would go nuts. And we were yeah, there you go. It could be somebody who's not a star player and everybody would, after the game, pick him up and he'd be the happiest kid on the team. That's what it's all about.
All right. So, who are your most important social resources, resources and persons you network with, and why?
My father. My father was a master baker. Is a master baker. He's 84. I mean, to be a master baker, it's harder to become a master baker than a master chef. A master baker has to learn every trait of decorating skills. My dad owned and operated a bakery for 50 years in East Syracuse and did wedding cakes, that could serve 2,000 people to, 3 tiers to cannolis. My sister's cake, we had the bridal party under it. He built a house. If you know who Buddy is from the Cake Boss, he was doing things in the 70s before Buddy was even born. So I think my father was my biggest influence, and my wife Erin. She's like the one who, this is her baby. I took it off and ran with it with her, but this is all her concept. These are all her formulas. These are all her recipes. This is all her. This is her labor of love. It wasn't mine. Mine was always art and photography. But being in the hotel restaurant business, we took it off together. But having celiac disease for her and the kids, this became her, target of, what she wanted to do and how she wanted to succeed. And everybody told her a totally gluten-free restaurant and bakery was never going to succeed. And we're here 5 years later, 3 years up on Sealy Road, now 2.5 years here. So we're doing it, and we're feeding the people, and we're making people happy. And I get hugs from people all over the East Coast, up and down the East Coast, from Canada to Florida, from California, some from Seattle, from San Francisco, Colorado. They come in town and like, thank you very much. I can't eat anywhere else in this town, or I'm passing through, or I'm staying at my friend's house or my grandparents' house, or I'm traveling to the Adirondacks, and I'm getting hugs. I was on the line the other day, and I had a couple coming in from Toronto, a young couple, and it was great because she was like, she's like, I know you're busy. I know you got a full dining room. She's yelling over, but I want to give you a hug. I'm like, her boyfriend's like, you got to give her a hug. I'm like, I come out, give her a hug. And that's what it's all about, because we're a specialty restaurant and a specialty bakery, and people cannot get the food up and down the boulevard. This is it. This is the real deal here for celiacs or any autoimmune disease that you might have, whether it's Lyme, Crohn, lupus. So.
All right. So what role do personal values and ethics play in your management effectiveness?
Faith. You got to have a lot of faith. You got to have a lot of faith in what you're doing. You got to have a lot of faith in the man upstairs. So, those are my values. I don't think you can survive in anything, once again, in anything in life without your faith. And, everybody, and, talks a good talk. And, but geez, you after a long day of 12, 14-hour day, you go outside and you look at the stars and you say, thank you. And you're like, can I do it again tomorrow? Will you let me do it again tomorrow? But I think your faith is the one that get your, where you kind of keep your head straight. Definitely.
So, in class, we talk about, just a few more questions, by the way.
That's okay.
In class, we talk about 4 specific sections when it comes to management. So there's planning, leading, organizing, and controlling.
Okay.
And how is kind of like working in this industry, within the restaurant business, kind of shaped your experience in these 4 areas? So, like, shaped your experience as planning, leading, organizing, and then controlling.
Well, I have 2 older boys that are 20 and 30, 30 and 27, and then I have my family with Aaron, which I have 5 kids from 21 in college and to a 17-month old. So I think my planning and organizing I learned from being a parent, and you have to plan your day almost religiously every day. Okay, well, this one goes on the bus at this time, this one goes on the bus at this time, this one stays home with mom because she's 17 months old, this one goes to high school, what time he has to be there or gets off the bus, which William doing in college, with my other 2 boys doing, life, being married and stuff like that. But I think family helps planning your stages in this role too. It's like, what do I got to do when I come to the bakery? You have to have a game plan of what you're doing. Right now, I'm going away for 2 days and with my wife, and we never went on a honeymoon. I promised her a honeymoon, and we never went out. So we're going to go away for 2 days to do a little up to Greek Peak, which is only like an hour away. But I'm planning my whole day. That's why it was nice of you to come in. Tonight. I'm still here. Yeah, no, it's great talking to you. So I'm planning my day for the next 2 days by getting everything ready for tomorrow. So I think the family helps me plan my restaurant because I'm so, kind of get you manually going. What's the next plan? What's the game plan? And, even when we wake up in the morning, we look at each other like, okay, what's the game plan? But sometimes we'll game plan it at night. If we're not tired, we'll like, okay, what's the game plan tomorrow? And I think that's the big thing.
So, last question. What advice would you offer to others who are trying to develop their management effectiveness? And then what advice do you wish you had been given?
Be yourself. Don't try to be somebody else. Follow your heart. If you feel good about it, then go for it. If people try to say, don't do it this way, don't do it. No. Be yourself. Be your own vision. Be your own world. Don't try to, don't try to I want to be like, Steve Jobs, or I want to be like this, because it's about the money. Don't chase the money. Just chase your dream, and whether you're making $5 in a day or $500,000 a day, it's not going to change who you are. You just got to be yourself. That's the most important thing. Don't change for anybody. Don't change. Just keep yourself level-headed and stay, that way. And keep yourself going. That's basically it. One foot in front of the other. Sometimes there's two step. Thank you. 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Thanks, I'm glad we discovered
It's a pleasure. Thank you. By now, wonderful people from Brewerton. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. That's going to happen. Sometimes you're like, I'm on 2 steps forward. 2 steps or 1 step back, and you keep going forward. One foot in front of the other. If you don't keep moving forward, you're never going to succeed. So you got to keep that foot going. Keep chugging along. You'll be fine. But be yourself. I think that's the best knowledge or advice I can give anybody if they want to follow.
All right. That's perfect. Thank you.
You're awesome.